My young brothers and sisters, we have great hope for you. We have such great expectations for you. Don't settle for less than what the Lord wants you to be. Our Heavenly Father wants you to date young men who are faithful members of the church, who will be worthy to take you to the temple and be married the Lord's way. Our Heavenly Father wants you to date young women who are faithful members of the church, who encourage you to serve a full-time mission and to magnify your priesthood. Clearly, right marriage begins with right dating.
This friend of mine, he came through the drive-thru. I was working, and he handed me a rose. And I just went, oh. That whole night, it was just on cloud nine. I couldn't do anything. And I called my mom, and I said, Mom, I think he's going to ask me out. And she said, well, what are you going to do? I just kind of made the decision that I wasn't going to date outside the church. It was so easy up until then. He gave me the rose on a Monday, and the following Saturday, he asked me out for next weekend. I was so scared, and I said, I don't know how to tell you this. It's not that I don't want to date you. I said I really would like to, but I don't date people outside my church. And he said, oh, I understand. And when he said that, I couldn't believe it. I was so shocked. I just think people are going to look at you and say, you're weird, you know? And after I said that, he came every day before work, and we talked, and I got to know him really good. Then my dad said, well, why don't you invite him over for family home evening? And I just kind of went, you're crazy. But I asked him, and he said, sure, I'd like that. And I was really nervous about it because you never know what's going to happen, especially with a big family like ours. And I remember the lesson was on honesty, and he really liked that. And then after, I started talking to my mom, and she said, well, why don't you ask him if he wants to learn more about what you believe in? Just call him and see. And he said, I'd really like that. We set up a time, and I thought he'd back out at the last moment or something, but he showed up. The missionaries came over, and we had it at our house, and it was just me and the missionaries. Then it came time for them to ask if he'd like to be baptized. The next thing I know, I hear him say yes, and I was just in shock. And then when he was baptized, I was so excited. I was really happy for him. Then we started dating, and he started talking about getting married, and I was like, no. I couldn't believe it. I was like, no way. And I said, I decided way back when that I was going to remarry a returned missionary. The next thing I know, he's putting in his papers, and I was so excited for him. You know, I haven't heard from him since he's been in Brazil, but the first week he was gone in the MTC, he wrote me saying how much he loved it and how much he was so glad he knew he was doing the right thing, and how he could really feel the Spirit and how much his testimony had grown and everything. And to look back on it now and to see how much he's changed is just really amazing to me.